G'day people, I'm Sharyn, welcome to my channel. Today is a little bit of a departure from what I normally do. I'm altering a t-shirt for somebody who has had shoulder surgery. There are a number of videos showing people how to get into and out of clothes, but there's nothing showing, it would appear, the alteration to make to put a zip in the front of a shirt. So the shirt that I'm doing this with is one that's just purchased from Kmart. It wasn't particularly expensive, but it is a moisture wicking shirt. And I'm going to show you how to put a zip in the front of it, an open-ended zip, so that somebody who's had shoulder surgery can get it on and off easily. Firstly, looking at the shirt, it's one size larger than the person would normally wear, but it is quite a stretchy shirt. And as I previously mentioned, it is one of the moisture wicking ones. There is not a lot of stretch in this direction, but there is a bit, and we have to stabilise that before we put the zip in. I have found the centre here and put a little nick in it, and the centre at the bottom and put a little nick in that. I'm now going to turn the shirt inside out and put it over my ironing board so that I'm only dealing with one side of it. I've purchased a zip that is very, very slightly shorter than the shirt is from the base to the neckline. The zips are usually in 5 centimetre grades, so this one's a 65 centimetre, the next one down would be a 60 centimetre. If I have a 63 centimetre shirt, I would be buying a 60 centimetre zip, and I would just be putting it up a bit at this end. It won't matter if the zip doesn't go all the way to the bottom. You probably want it close at the top, but honestly, a bit of space at the bottom isn't going to hurt anyone. I can't put the zip on here. The zip will actually go on from the other side, but the other thing I want you to notice is that the two sides of this zip are pretty much at the same level. So when I'm sewing the zip on, I need to be sewing it on with those at the same level. I have a stabiliser here. It's an iron-on stabiliser, and I've got a strip that's actually a bit too long for going up the front of the shirt. So I'm on the inside of the shirt, and my iron here in a few places. I've got the iron not set particularly high. What I want to do, essentially I'm heat tacking that down in a few places, just a little bit, so there's a little bit there that's not moving so much now. And then I need to trim off the end under here. So now that the end is trimmed off, I'm starting it a little bit up from the bottom, finishing it a little bit down from the top. Let's see whether this is the right heat to iron this on. When you're ironing it, don't go pressing and pushing and pulling. What I'm wanting to do is just get that heat to activate the glue. Oops. I've got my iron set between silk and wool. I've got that stabiliser there. That stabiliser is there to stop the shirt from stretching while I'm putting the zip on. If it stretches while I put the zip on, I'm going to end up with an effect like a pregnant tummy. So the zip will push the fabric out. It's important that it can't do that, and this should stop it. So now I'm going to turn it back in the right way. I've got a ruler and I've got some chalk. You need to have something that you can use that will make it visible. Here I am producing a line between the centre of the neckline and the centre of the base of the shirt. I know my zip goes from the bottom edge to just slightly shy. The metal zipper stops are about 1/2 centimetre, 1/4 inch away from the top of the shirt, and I've got my line drawn down the centre front of the shirt. I'm going to open the zip, and it's going to get laid down upside down on here. This side, got the teeth in here at the minute, and this side has got the teeth in towards the centre. But when they get sewn on, I am not cutting it until after the zipper is sewn on, and they have to get sewn on face side down. So I'm going to pin this side of the zipper to the shirt with the teeth away from the middle of the shirt. So it's the opposite of what you would think. I don't want to stretch the shirt while I'm pinning this on. I'm just pinning that right side down, and I want to end up, here's my, hope you can see, probably not, the metal stop up there. And it is about 1/2 centimetre down, maybe even less, from the top. Same thing with this one. That's the way I would expect it to be, with the zipper teeth in the middle, but I'm turning it over. I need to line up so that both of these zipper tapes down here match up. I'm going to get this tag out of the way, zipper pull out of the way while I pin it here. I'm getting 2 edges of the zip should be right up on the centre of the shirt. I'm pinning this sometimes to the cover of my ironing board. I need to get it off there. So the idea is to keep the shirt flat. I've got that stabiliser underneath, which means it shouldn't stretch. I don't want it to be stretched. And I'm trying to make sure that things line up here. So I want the zipper tabs at the top to line up and at the bottom to line up, with the teeth looking like they're going the wrong way, away from each other. And to start with, I'm going to put the foot down, and this pin shouldn't be in the way, it should be a bit out of the way, there. And I'm going to do a few stitches, and those few stitches are going backwards, or because I want to try and get things accurately to the edge. I'm going to press my reverse key. Sometimes they don't like moving in this sort of situation. The things that I need to remember: don't get the back of the shirt caught while I'm sewing this on. If I get the back of the shirt caught, then I'm going to have to unpick things, which is not what I want to do. And I'm not really watching the needle. What I'm watching is keeping this foot in the same part of the zipper as I sew it down. It is just possible for me to find that line on the shirt that I drew with the chalk. I'm just trying to keep the zipper foot in the same position. When I started, I had this zipper pull. I had moved it up so it was out of the way. I now want to move that back, which may be complicated, getting it to lift the foot, but I keep the needle down. Hopefully I can have everything stay in place. And I am working against myself here. I've got all my pins the wrong way around. I should have had them with the pointy bit heading in the other direction. Would have been much cleverer. say, I'm going to keep a good eye to make sure that I don't get the back of the shirt caught under this. I can see where my chalk is. I'm keeping the edge of the zipper tape against the chalk. And there's my chalk. Make sure that nothing under there is ending up in the wrong place. If you do a lot of sewing, you do eventually, at some stage, sew the front of something to a sleeve or the back. I'm getting up towards the neck now, keeping the edge of the tape on that chalk line. And I'm going to do a little bit of backwards and forwards here at the top. So one side of the zipper is now stitched down, and I'm going to do the other one. So I was pretty good at getting that beginning on that side, right at the edge of the fabric. I've got to try and do the same on the other side. But now I need to move my needle on this foot over to the other side. Some machines get you to shift the foot. On this particular foot, or on this particular machine, it's moving the needle, so I will be moving the needle to there. So it's now moved across to the other side, which means that when I go to sew on the other side, I'll be doing the same thing. I'll be keeping this side of the foot against this side of the zipper tape. It's not fun trying to sew around a camera. I was pulling on that because I'm trying to make sure that the fabric at the back doesn't creep forward and move away from the edge. Get that out now. Just make sure it's right, because if it's not, now is the time to sort it out. Not after I've sewn most of the zip down. It's much better to check now and make sure everything's okay. So if I put the needle and the foot down again, now I will do a bit of backing. Now on this side, essentially what I've got to do is keep the two sides of the zipper tape together and stitch with this side of the foot right on that edge. But once again, important to make sure I don't get the back of the shirt or the side of the shirt or anything else actually in the way. I'll get that right out of the way. coming up here to the edge, you can see that the first one, the tab, the zipper stop was right next to the edge of the binding around the neck. So that's what I want to aim for on this one. If I can. If I can't, it's not going to be terribly obvious anyway. I think this one's probably very slightly further up. They haven't worked out perfectly at the top, but I'm not going to get concerned about it. The next thing I need to do is actually cut down the centre. By folding the shirt wrong sides together, I'm exposing that bit in between the back of the zipper tape, and that's the bit I want to cut. Try not to cut anything else on the shirt while you're doing this. Always remember, perfection is overrated. Nobody is ever going to see this. It's going to be inside the shirt. At this stage, you could use it, but things will want to turn around. So what I'm going to do, change the foot on my machine, and I'm going to zigzag down this edge. So I'm going to zigzag the side of the zipper tape to that part of the shirt. If you have an overlocker, now is the time to use the overlocker. I'm not going to bother getting mine out, but I do need, on this machine, I'll do it with a zigzag. So I'll put on a foot that will allow me to do a zigzag. Choose a zigzag. The end of this, there's a few things you can do with it, and one of them to just melt a little bit below there, but I'm not going to do that now. For the time being, I am just going to zigzag down here. I'm doing a lock stitch at the end. You could pull threads through. My machine does a lock stitch. Having done that, there, I'm now going to turn this over so that I'm looking at the right side of the shirt, and I do really need to get that removed, so I'll cut that off. So I've cut it off just slightly lower than the top of the shirt, and now it's probably a good idea to go back to my zipper foot, and I want, on this occasion, I want the needle to be over on the same side as the teeth. So I'm going to start at the beginning here, or actually a little bit down from the beginning, foot down, and I'm going to do a few stitches backwards, and then I'm giving it some help here because it's not got much to grab hold of where I took it back to. Now I should be able to just keep the zipper open and run the edge of the machine, the edge of the foot, along where the fold is. Be a little bit easier for you to see here because of the colour difference. The reason I wanted to put that top stitching down there is because that holds the shirt away from the zipper teeth. So you're not going to catch the slide pull in the fabric of the shirt when you're using it. I will do the zigzag and the top stitching on the other side, and then I'll show you the finished product. If you know anyone who's had a shoulder reconstruction or a rotator cuff thing or whatever done and they've got a shoulder problem, or somebody who's got a problem with a broken arm perhaps, this is a super easy way to give them control over putting their clothes on and feeling better about themselves. The shirt is done. It wasn't that complicated. Few things to remember. You need to stabilise the fabric before you start putting the zip on, otherwise it stretches and it doesn't look good. Stabilise it first. Get a zip that is a bit shorter than the shirt if you can. It is possible to shorten zips, and you can find various things around YouTube that show you how to do it, but in a lot of ways it's easier to just have the zip a bit shorter than the shirt, have it at the right place at the top and a bit open at the bottom. The other thing, when you're sewing down the zip, completely counterintuitively, it goes down front side down but with the teeth out, not towards each other. Stitch it down and then cut the shirt open. I like to do the extra line of top stitching because it stops the fabric from ending up getting caught in the zipper pull. And this is something that a huge number of people who have had shoulder surgery or broken arms or whatever will absolutely love you for. And I hope you've learned something that you can help somebody with from this one. See you next time.